Something historic just happened. King Charles has done what no British monarch has dared in half a century, and it's sending shockwaves through the government. In a move that nobody saw coming, the king has openly defied Prime Minister Keir Starmer, triggering what insiders are calling the biggest royal versus government clash since the abdication crisis. Stay tuned, because what unfolds over the next 72 hours could rewrite the balance of power in British politics forever. It started last Tuesday morning. At exactly 9:47 a.m., Prime Minister Keir Starmer sent a confidential letter to Buckingham Palace. His request? That the king suspend all public appearances in London for 3 months, citing security concerns linked to Labour's reform agenda. But when the king read that letter, he did the exact opposite. Within 2 hours, Charles scheduled 5 new London events, including a surprise visit to war veterans in the East End. That one act, quiet, deliberate, and defiant, set off a political earthquake. Here's why this single decision has the entire government panicking. It turns out Starmer's request had little to do with security. Leaked Labour documents, obtained by the Telegraph, revealed the real motive: to tone down public affection for the monarchy. One internal memo admitted that royal appearances were creating what it called problematic nationalist sentiment that undermined Labour's message. Translation: too many Britons love their king, and that's inconvenient for the Prime Minister's agenda. When strategist Morgan McWeeney's email surfaced, claiming, "The monarchy represents everything Labour must dismantle," outrage spread instantly. Conservative MP Jacob Rees-Mogg read excerpts in Parliament. The chamber erupted. Even neutral commentators called the memo a political disaster. But the real fury came from the people who've worn the uniform. Veterans across Britain reacted with disbelief. James Morrison, a 67-year-old Royal Marine who served more than 2 decades, stood outside the Imperial War Museum and said, voice shaking, "We didn't fight for this country so a politician could tell our king where he's allowed to go." His words spread like wildfire. Even lifelong Labour voters began to turn away. Patricia Hughes from Durham summed it up. "I've voted Labour all my life, but this attack on our monarchy? Unforgivable. They've lost me forever." Within 2 days, a grassroots veterans movement calling itself Defenders of the Crown launched a petition demanding Starmer's resignation. In 48 hours, it hit nearly 400,000 signatures. Then former Army Colonel Richard Kemp, a decorated commander from Afghanistan, appeared on BBC Breakfast, visibly shaken. "In 30 years of service," he said, "I never questioned my government's respect for the crown. Until now." His interview was shared over 2 million times. And then, the king struck back. At the Commonwealth Day service in Westminster Abbey, broadcast to more than 50 nations, King Charles spoke with rare fire. "Service to this nation is not a privilege granted by politicians," he declared, voice steady and sharp. "It is a sacred duty that transcends governments and political winds. Those who serve understand this. Those who seek only power never will." The Abbey fell silent. Everyone knew exactly who he meant. Insiders say the king personally rewrote that section of the speech 6 times, removing diplomatic phrases and replacing them with deliberate steel. Advisors begged him to soften the tone. He refused. Within 24 hours, the entire royal family moved as one. Prince William appeared unannounced at a military hospital, telling veterans, "My father and I will always be wherever Britain needs us most." No memo will ever change that. Princess Anne canceled private engagements to attend a military commemoration. Prince Edward doubled his schedule. The palace wasn't just responding, it was fighting back. Markets noticed first. Within 90 minutes of the king's speech, the pound dropped 2.3%, and nearly $9 billion was wiped off the FTSE 100. Traders cited constitutional uncertainty. By nightfall, the political damage was even worse. 7 Labour MPs broke ranks publicly. Veteran MP Graham Stringer called Starmer's request the stupidest political move in modern history. Sarah. Champion's office was flooded with nearly 900 emails demanding the Prime Minister apologize. Only 3 supported him. Then came the international backlash. Australia quietly cancelled an upcoming state visit. Canada expressed concerns over stability. New Zealand's parliament voted overwhelmingly, 87-33, to reaffirm its loyalty to the constitutional monarchy. And at home, Britain's streets erupted. Tens of thousands marched through Manchester, Glasgow, Cardiff, and Birmingham waving Union Jacks and singing "God Save the King." Even in Liverpool, a Labour stronghold, more than 6,000 people rallied in defense of the monarchy. A Sunday Times poll stunned Westminster. 68% of Britons now say Starmer should resign. His approval rating collapsed from 41% to 23% in 5 days, the steepest fall ever recorded. Inside Downing Street, panic has turned to fury. At one emergency meeting, Cabinet Secretary Simon Case slammed a folder on the table, shouting that Starmer had created an unsolvable disaster. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner reportedly told colleagues, "Loyalty has limits, and he's found them." Private Labour WhatsApp groups, some titled The Last Stand, are openly plotting a replacement. Foreign Secretary David Lammy looked physically ill at his latest press briefing. Defense Secretary John Healey dodged every question about the crisis. 3 junior ministers have written resignation letters. They're just waiting for the right moment. Even Chancellor Rachel Reeves is quietly preparing. She hosted a closed dinner with 10 senior Labour MPs, positioning herself as the unity candidate who could restore stability, and privately promising that her first act as Prime Minister would be a personal apology to the King. Meanwhile, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has been seen leaving Parliament late at night after meeting rebel MPs. The plotting isn't secret anymore. And then came the leak that could finish Starmer for good. Cabinet documents obtained by The Times reveal that Starmer was warned repeatedly this would explode. A 9-page memo from Policy Director Claire Ansley predicted the backlash in exact detail. His response? The monarchy needs to understand who's actually in charge. If those words are true, Starmer didn't stumble into crisis. He chose it. He gambled Britain's stability to prove a point. Now, Conservatives smell blood. During Prime Minister's questions, Rishi Sunak asked one question: calm, deliberate, devastating. Does the Prime Minister regret trying to exile our monarch from his own capital? Even Labour MPs winced. Polls now show the Tories surging to 38%, Labour collapsing to 24%, and Reform UK rising fast in traditional Labour seats. Farage himself told a rally crowd chanting, "God save the King," this is what they fear most. Membership on Reform's website doubled overnight. As Britain heads into another explosive week, Parliament reconvenes Monday morning. Starmer will face open revolt from his own benches. King Charles has already scheduled a fresh appearance in London for Wednesday, a direct challenge the Prime Minister cannot stop. And Labour's Executive Committee meets Thursday to discuss leadership options. 3 cabinet ministers are prepared to resign simultaneously if Starmer doesn't issue a public apology to the King. At this point, it's not about whether he survives, but how long he can delay the inevitable. A Prime Minister at war with the Crown, a nation divided between tradition and politics, and a monarchy reminding Britain where true duty lies. So here's the question. Does Keir Starmer step down before he's forced out? Or does he drag the Labour Party down with him? Drop your thoughts below. We're reading every comment to see where Britain stands tonight. And if you want to understand what's really happening behind closed doors, hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we'll reveal the leaked messages that expose who Labour is already grooming as Starmer's replacement. Stay tuned. History is unfolding right before our eyes.